Well done, Scullery,
says a tall, slender woman wearing a sleek black dress, stepping into the room from nowhere. The door you entered is no longer there.
Retrieve the rest of the relics,
She commands, in a simple tone of indifference, as if your presence is immaterial to her. You are gripped by some sort of paralysis. You cannot move. Breathing is impossible. You fight with every single muscle, to no avail. Doug Scullery rifles through your pockets and belongings.
They're all here, Princess.
Beams Doug as he hands them to her. He turns to look at you with a smile, as a blade bursts through his forehead, blood splattering all over you. His body twitches as it slowly collapses to the ground. The jeweled hilt of a dagger protruding from the back of his head.
Well, that was easy. I didn't even have to leave the mountain.
Her green eyes look at you. She cocks her head, then waves her hand.
Villains, do you need them? The big bad pulling the strings, constantly conspiring against the party.
If it wasn't for those pesky kids.
Yes, it gets a bit repetitive. Just find the nearest powerful landowner and pull off their mask.
This video isn't about Scooby-Doo. It's why you don't need villains, you need motivations.
With quest givers DM Scotty and DMG, you're sure to get hooked on adventure.
Our successful Kickstarter helped us produce this wonderful book with 16 system-neutral, interconnected modules across more than 420 pages. You can find it on our website, questgivers.com. There's a PDF version available as well. Thank you so much for your support.
In the beginning of this video, the princess, as she is referred to throughout the North Road, has captured the party with the help of the nefarious Doug Scullery, a man encountered in the Dark City and pursued across the mountains north of Fusdaberg.
Is she the actual villain? Well, that little excerpt would suggest so. However, she says she didn't even have to leave the mountain.
This little phrase is key to understanding how we view the notion of a villain in the North Road and other modules. We focus on the motivations of the non-player characters and the assumed motivations of the player characters.
Doug Scullery, an underhanded thief from the streets of Fusdaberg, lured the characters here. He wanted the relics they were carrying to give to the princess. The princess wanted the relics and didn't care how that came to pass.
What is a villain? A villain is usually a person who acts against the moral imperative of the characters or their duty, or creates an undesired consequence for one of the characters or all of them. This is why your hook needs to be strong. The hook sets up the major problem the players commit to solving by putting their characters at risk.
A villain acts in opposition to the solution. The stronger the hook, the more the players will feel antagonized by the villain getting in the way of their solution. This counterpoint relationship can help to create drama and motivate the narrative to move forward.
However, why do you actually need a villain? The princess in the North Road is built up as the villain until she is encountered in the temple in the mountains. However, there are hints that her path is more about being misguided than truly villainous when talking with the Swords of Honor in Knights of Old.
Up until the point the party actually encounter the princess, there's been no direct intervention on her part in their path. In fact, every single NPC before she's encountered acts in their own self-interest, rather than towards a unified goal.
We actually set up the princess as a pseudo-villain. Her role is to motivate the story forward, but upon encountering her, the narrative shifts and her character is revealed to be something completely different. The reason villains are overused is because it's easy to embody the opposite into a non-player character than it is to think outside of the box.
Not everything that happens in the world is good and evil. Stuff just happens. When people are involved, stuff tends to happen because of their motivations.
Why does a villain do what they do? Are they actually villainous?
Some people do evil things. Not because they are evil, but because the desire to do good has overridden their judgment of the consequences of their actions. They are motivated to do good deeds. A villager wants to feed his family, his kids are hungry, so he goes out into the wilderness and kills a Drek to eat.
The rest of the Dreks become enraged as the villager has disturbed their way of life, and they want to seek justice.
The desire to feed your children and the desire to see justice for a crime are two positive motivating factors. However, you can tell when these two combine, that is when the drama happens.
The moral imperative in each case is valid. Who is the villain? The villager, the Dreks, or a third unknown force?
It is the option of a third force which makes it easy to introduce a villain. However, the narrative is far more interesting when there is no clear villain and the motivations of the two sides clash with each other. When the party gets involved, they either take sides or try to use diplomacy.
Diplomacy. By choosing sides, the party aligns their moral imperative with the motivations of either the villager or the Drex, turning the other side into the opposition.
You see this every day in real life.
Instead of thinking of a villain for your next session, think about something that happens in the world that affects the motivations of the non-player characters and the monsters in the local area. With monsters, it is the same. However, some monsters are not intelligent, and so their motivations are basic. Eat, sleep, drink, drain energy, etc.
Monsters don't have political or moral motivations. How do your monsters' basic motivations interact with the townsfolk from the nearby settlement?
How are their motivations altered by this interaction?
Then you can consider causal relationships from the natural environment. The villagers are hungry because there is a prolonged drought. The Drex are mad because the civilized people should not eat other civilized people.
What is the right thing to do? This also creates a dilemma for the players and can test the resolve of party cohesion.
Dilemmas should be used sparingly. This example is used to show the motivations to generate great drama.
Understanding the motivations of monsters and non-player characters in the world helps to create a more nuanced game.
When your NPCs and monsters have more depth, the world they inhabit has more depth. As the players interact with them, they are affected by their motivations. They care more about what is happening in the game.
Having players care about what is happening in the game reduces the amount of murder hobering that can occur. Less murder hobering, more interest in the world. Just as player choice is vital for a successful game, imbuing motivations into the fabric of your world helps to create dramatic consequences for player actions.
Drama drives the characters forward.
If you're interested in how to design great plot hooks for your game, you can consult our PDF plot hook formula, available on questgivers.com.
Your purchases help make this content a reality. Thank you. On the left is a playlist of similar videos, and on the right is our most recent video. In the center, you can subscribe and ring the bell for future content.